welcome here to the home of the Smiling Sun champion, definitely Ferrari's biggest fan, and welcome here to our exclusive race report from the second Grand Prix on the FIA Formula 1 2024 championship, which of course is the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So, plenty to talk about. Obviously, a very interesting race, only the second time we are doing it. So we will use this great red iMac to also show you the final classification. Obviously, we could show you the best moments, even though we have some copyright issues, so we will only talk about the best moments, and then we will show you the final classification and why this could definitely still be Ferrari's season, because obviously the first two rounds, that first section of the Middle Eastern part of the Formula 1 championship didn't go completely according to how we would expect it at Ferraris. But I have to say, that at least we've gotten closer to the Red Bulls, which was very important. The biggest story, however, was that there was a new Ferrari driver. Was it the Smiling Sun champion? Well, guess what? It was only 18-year-old Ollie Bearman, obviously coming from Formula 2. Only being the reserve for this season, became the youngest ever driver to start the Formula 1 race, obviously for Ferrari, which is quite amazing, given obviously the decorated history of the team. We've been, in a championship since the very inception of it. 75 years, running, and we have the youngest ever driver, and he did really well. So what basically happened? So we knew, from the championship that we were clearly the second fastest car, and we were hoping that we would be able to compete with Red Bulls, even though we knew that maybe Saudi Arabia didn't quite fit the characteristics of that beautiful Scarlet Ferrari, but still. That didn't mean that we wouldn't have a chance to compete and to perhaps even win. Remember, the last win came courtesy of Sainz in Singapore, which is also a similar circuit. It's basically most of it is temporary, using the real streets, and part of it is permanent. So we've just basically came back from Singapore, so we were hoping, especially to stop Verstappen from Red Bull from winning the 9th race in a row, which then would give him the sole possession of having won 9 races in a row. Twice, obviously, only Alberto Ascari and Sebastian Vettel managed that. So what happened was, that during the first 2 practice sessions, Carlos Sainz was feeling unwell, so he was replaced by Ollie Bearman, and as a result, we were obviously on a back foot heading into the qualifying. Leclerc did a good job to put it on the front row. I was happy that at least he got on that final run fine, and Bearman, 11th place in qualifying, that was quite good. What a pity he didn't get into Q3, because he definitely
on a day that they went past,
because he definitely had a chance, of course, to at least qualify into the Q3, and then probably he could have finished even higher. The start was pretty good, but again, it was a very straightforward race like Bahrain. Pretty much, the drivers where they started, they kind of it's also pretty much where they finished, with the exception again of Bearman, who did a pretty good job. Had a good start, but also struggled to keep it again within the white lines at the beginning. Kind of just like I did, for example, when I did the race. Usually the track is a bit slippery, and if you didn't warm up your tires, if they are not between the 95 degrees Celsius to 105 degrees Celsius window, it's really difficult to keep it on the track. But then he was getting faster and faster, so that's a great promise, isn't it? He put in great overtakes, especially on Yuki Tsunoda, going from right to left, and then obviously also teaching a Hülkenberg a lesson, and then he was basically 9th. With regards to Leclerc, at the start he of course got boxed out by Verstappen, and he did well to keep it ahead of Perez, but basically after the 4th lap, that was it, right? We were behind, we were about half a second slower, I would say. So I was disappointed with that, because obviously as Ferrari's biggest fan, I really want to see the Scarlet Ferraris, put Red Bull under pressure, to at least, at the start, for example, like you could see how Magnussen, for example, defended, what a great job he did for the team to make sure that Hülkenberg could get that final point, because Lance Stroll obviously had a big accident. That's exactly what we should be doing, right? So when Sainz is going to be back, or if Bearman, for example, could keep up, with Leclerc, Now, obviously, when Lewis Hamilton comes to Ferrari, that's going to be very interesting. It's important to understand that if start is one of the great opportunities to get Red Bull, right? If they are behind you, you can, for example, defend very hard. Maybe if we are at 1-2, and then we would be able again, to perhaps win the race. So as it was pretty much after the fourth, fifth lap, we knew that it was going to be a tall order. Did a good job with the safety car, but got held up there with Leclerc. Okay, Bearman kind of kept the position, did really well, only pit stop and in such a hectic situation. So I was happy, that it was a very smooth race, very impressed, by the 18-year-old driver. I think, he definitely defined his age and he can have a great career. But again, we are Ferraris, in the end, obviously only 2 drivers stayed out. So, with Hamilton and Norris, I was surprised that when they finally switched around lap 37, to the softs, that they were not faster. So that's a little bit surprising. They should be really flying, being at least 2-3 seconds faster than the rest, but they weren't. So as a result, Bearman, who was 9, thanks to the 2 overtakes that I just described, and gotten into 7, he kept it in front of his countrymen, Norris and Hamilton, who obviously will be in that Ferrari next year. And it was just very lovely to see. But overall, as we can see here from the final classification, coming from Ferrari's biggest fan, we are clearly the second, fastest team. It looks like, we established a pretty good gap over, the other teams, gotten a bit closer to the Red Bull. But hopefully we will go to Australia and win, or anybody but Verstappen and anybody but Red Bull, because again that would equal that longest streak of the consecutive successive races won, right? 10, which he managed at Monza last time. So it is highly critical, and I hope again that Leclerc can put it on pole position. We will see signs. Obviously, it's good to see that he's in good spirit after he had the operation on appendices. So we hope he recovers well. It's his last season at Ferrari, and we will definitely need him in Australia, or Bearman, if he can put in a show and have the practice and qualify within, I would say, 10 or 2 of Leclerc. That could mean the front row in Australia. That could mean some Ferrari victory. So yeah, that was the race. It was pretty straightforward. Not so many overtakes. So 2 very straightforward races in the Middle East. That's the way I see it. So let's take a look at the classification, how it finished, and how the table now looks like, and how many points we need to make up. So over here, let me use this wonderful red iMac over here. Okay, and yeah, so obviously sadly we cannot see you some great moments, but here we can see how it finished. So we were in the end 18 seconds behind. We were almost half a minute behind in Bahrain, so that's again pretty good. You could see, okay, Bearman over here 42 seconds, about 22 behind Leclerc, who also have gotten the fastest lap of the race, so that's a great additional point. And if we take this beautiful mouse and take a look over here, how it looks like in the standings, with some wonderful fireworks, as you can see, for example, over here. Okay, again, Saudi Arabia did a great job there with the fireworks. So yeah, at the moment, Verstappen's leading with 51. Okay, Leclerc there with 28, so again, 27 points behind. Again, that's everything to play for. You can see Bearman over here nicely being at the 10th place. Sainz is currently 6th, but definitely when he comes back, if he has a strong race, he can be 4th. Looks like the only real challenger, to Verstappen at the moment would be his teammate Perez, but again, there's not much hope that he could actually improve that much. So, if Ferrari again can, improve, especially the qualifying pace, and especially at the beginning, we gotta make sure that we keep the drivers behind. There's everything to play for. So we hope that you guys enjoyed over here our special report. This was, the second round of the FIA Formula 1 World Championship in Saudi Arabia. Of course, featuring this very comfortable polo, the exact version that the drivers are wearing. And, we cannot wait to go down under and see what we can do in Melbourne, Australia. I can smell that the Ferrari's victory is coming back. What do you guys think? Forza Ferrari! Let's go!